Let's take a look at this new patch that's getting released right now. It should be live in a couple hours. Servers are currently undergoing maintenance, so let's just scroll through these patch notes. There's a lot to go through, and there's a lot of big changes that are happening. First of all, probably the biggest one, Winterhorn Skraev. So if you don't know, the Skraev up till now did not have a dire or heroic variant. So I'm interested to see whether this is only a dire or there's also going to be a new heroic version. And we're going to take a look at how it fights in just a little bit. Up till now, using the Terra weapon, which is the earth element, didn't offer any bonus. It didn't have an elemental effect. Wouldn't light enemies on fire. It wouldn't electrocute. It wouldn't freeze them. It was just like Umbral and Radiant that didn't really do anything unique. But now they're going to spawn Terra orbs that seek out and heal injured slayers who are doing damage to the Behemoth. If you have a full team with Terra weapons fighting an electrical man, and all of you are getting health returned, basically lifesteal. Terra now has lifesteal. We'll see how balanced it is. If you get a team of 4 in there all using lifesteal weapons, can you die? They are fixing the GodHand, which if you didn't know, the GodHand is exotic war pike. It's special. Instead of firing a missile like a standard war pike, is a laser beam. And there's a bug that would make the laser beam just continue firing. So you basically have a death laser, and people were abusing that to a very, very high degree. If you were running fills in any of the higher level enemies, especially Shroud, because he's weak to Radiant, you're definitely running with some GodHand bug abusers. So I'm glad that they are fixing this. Nice, improved deflection. Hopefully this changes how whenever you're running into a wall or you're trying to climb up a cliff, there's a lot of times that you would just sort of fall over. Wouldn't be able to get up the cliff, which was very frustrating. I hope that's what they're referring to. Otherwise, if it's something different, I hadn't noticed it. This is huge. This is a big change. Hammer swings and war pike piercing attacks, the repeated stabbing thing, can now sever tails and tusks. So this completely changes the game. The reason why I wouldn't use hammer a lot solo is because I needed to break the tail off, or I needed to break the tusk off. And previously, since the hammer dealt blunt damage, it wasn't able to do that. So I'm very interested to see how quickly a hammer can just destroy the tail on any enemy. This was an annoying bug. Sometimes you would be trying to use the Aether Vent to heal yourself, and you would just sit there infinitely and not pick it up, and that would get you killed a lot. Self-revive. This is kind of sad to me, because it was the only way I was getting through the heroic pluses for a period of time. You're supposed to only get 1 syringe, but there was a bug to where pretty much most of the time you would get 3, which was, to me, at the time, wasn't very good at the beast. It was nice. But it makes sense. It's supposed to be more of a challenge. You can only get yourself up once. That's going to discourage a lot of soloing the higher level bosses, at the beginning at least, because you can only make 1 mistake. Fixed a bug where you couldn't craft transfusion grenades. I wondered about this. I wasn't sure if they were only from the hunt pass or something, because they didn't appear in my crafting menu. I never was able to make them. Ardent Cyclone finisher attack can now interrupt behemoths. That might be interesting. I feel like that would be a really effective. We're going to try that out today. We're going to take a look at Ardent Cyclone. In my last video that I posted yesterday, I recommended Overdrive over Cyclone because I didn't see anything great about it. But this might be nice if you're fighting like an Embermane or something, and it's tough to time. Just the only thing that can boop with the sword is the dash attacks or just the standing light or heavy. But if you can start up a spin, wait till he comes close and slash at him, that might change the game for the Ardent Cyclone. Especially if you didn't see, I put a link in the last video to a Rage and Iceborne build. That's a lot of fun with the Cyclone because you can just stay up close to an enemy, take a couple hits, heal back up to 50% right away. They nerfed critical attack. So critical base damage has reduced from double to 150. Still good. And cunning has been reduced to 10 instead of 15. I guess it makes sense because people who run cunning typically stack it with a lot of other critical chance buffs like the Reza Sword, and I guess that's really the Reza and Shroud Sword are the only ones. Boreas. I read through these. It doesn't seem like it's going to make Boreas any more fun to fight. The only thing that I do like, immunity now triggers at the end of the shield activation rather than the start. So it won't be you're hitting this guy, then it says immune, and then later he's covered in ice. It'll wait until he's completely covered in ice to say he's immune, which might actually be a game changer if you can break apart. We'll see. We'll fight Boreas. Shock status will now clear when a player deals damage to a behemoth. That's very nice because shocked was really toxic. If you're shocked, you can't use any interactables, you can't revive, you can't heal. So if you're fighting the heroic Nezaga, who pretty much shocks you anytime you make contact with him, if he hits you hard and you need to heal, you basically have to withdraw from the fight and wait 10 to 15 seconds depending on how many anti-shock perks you decided to bring. But now if you can just hit them, I don't think shock really matters at all, which is good. It was the most annoying status effect in the game. Increased hang time on Grim Onslaught throws and catching the axe will now. This is fun. This might be a fun little mini game with the Grim Onslaught. If you don't know, the Grim Onslaught is when you yeet the axe and it doesn't. The original axe is it's spinning, it sort of hangs out and then it boomerangs back to you. The Grim Onslaught, you just throw it, and if you hit the guy, it bounces back. And I think there was a bug to where you couldn't pick it up. Did they fix that? Let's search. Yeah, here we go. Fix the bug where some players were unable to retrieve their axe. So the axe would just sit on the ground and you would just have to run around and wait, which is very annoying. But this should be very nice. I don't know about Skraev weapons. To me, the mines never seem to work how they're supposed to. I see enemies just standing on the mines and it doesn't do anything. We'll take a look at it though. We've heard feedback around common drops not being guaranteed. Yeah, they will drop anytime you get a part break. That is huge. Right now, if you want to craft the Shroud sword, Shroud has 2 legs that drop the break that you need to craft the sword. You need 6 of them. I think it makes a lot more sense that you have to fight Shroud and break both his legs 3 times and you're guaranteed the parts for the sword. Right now, what happens is you break it and you actually have a higher chance of getting an epic. I forget what it's called, the Darkness Shard or something like that. You have a higher chance of getting that drop than just the common leg piece. And I've hit big bottlenecks back whenever I was trying to build Drask armor. I couldn't get a leg drop to save my life. It just kept dropping the epic one. So you end up having like 15 epic pieces and you can't craft the armor. I like where this is going. They've made a lot of big changes that people have been complaining about. And I'm very excited to see what Winterhorn Skraev has. We're now hunting the Winterhorn Skraev, the newest released Behemoth in Dauntless. It is an upgraded version of the Skraev, pretty obviously. Skraev is a frost version of the Shrike, pretty much. There are some differences, but there are more similarities, I would say. They're both owl-based. They both have similar glide attacks. You'll notice the Winterhorn Skraev has an interesting glide attack, so hopefully he shows that off to us once we locate him. Okay, here we are. We've located the Skraev, Winterhorn. So he will often start off the fight by throwing a mine at you, just like that. Be aware, because he'll do it whenever you're far away, and you may not be expecting it. Okay, this is the same attack that he typically does as a regular Skraev. That slam actually has a ring around it. That one does, he always spins, so you need to dodge in towards the sort of eye of the storm closer to him. If you dodge out, you'll be hit by the secondary part. Seems to be a trend with a lot of his attacks. They're sort of two-sided. This is the time to interrupt. If you hit him in the face while he's trying to pull that out, he goes down. Now's a good time to use repeating elements like we've talked about. Try to break off the horns. Unfortunately, he's going into rage, which interrupted our attack. Now this is his new gimmick, which I personally am annoyed by. Well, maybe it's not. Did he not? He sometimes drops an orb that makes it impossible for you to see, pretty much. I think this is it. Yeah. Spawns it behind him, even though he stabs the ground in front of him. You have to break this before you have full movement and visibility back. Which is tough because since so many of his attacks are aerial, you actually can't see him coming, and it's very difficult to not take damage during this phase. I think maybe if you had repeaters, or if you had multiple people, it would be easier. Whoa. Okay, that was close. Let's try to get in here while he's still holding still. This is the time. That's not the time to sag him. Oh man, he did another one. I think we can KO him. Yeah. If we break the horns, I'm pretty sure. I can't get over this. There we go. Horn break. Something else broke too. Let's try to break this leg while he's standing still. Ah, he keeps raging at the most inopportune times. Cannot see anything at all. I think maybe the horns only make it to where he can't make another one. Because he's pretty clearly still kicking. What's he doing? Dive attack? Yeah, see, it's a little different from the standard. And he has a lot of slams that also happen. Oh my gosh. This is a very difficult place to have this orb because it's stuck on the edge of that stream, which really messes with the walking AI. If we can just break this. Oh my gosh. I gotta say I'm not the biggest fan. The heroic variant is actually much worse, much less of a good time. I don't even enjoy the fight, honestly. You'll notice we're actually having trouble here and we're well over the power level. A lot of this might be because he's new, but if you ask me, there are some significant changes that should be made. One thing you'll notice, I don't know if I'm going to show any footage of the heroic because none of it is very good, but one problem with his system is whenever you're solo, if you step on one of his mines, one of the ice mines, it has a secondary attack that comes after it. So you're frozen in the mine and it will shoot sort of ice spikes into you that legitimately deal half your damage. And he has this attack right here, which if he lands on you, you are frozen, and the slam itself will also deal half your health. So you can actually be one-shot by one of his attacks if all three parts land. If you can dodge the first part, then you're fine. But still, I'd consider that a problem. Okay, we had a little bit of a delayed stagger there. It's too bad that didn't get fixed in this patch. Chill Claw, that seems like a new piece, probably from this die variant. Every time we stagger him, he goes into rage. Something happened there. Alright, we did defeat him. So I'd say that my thoughts on this Behemoth, so far mostly negative. We'll see if any changes happen. I doubt they will. I think what needs to happen is if you want to beat this guy, you have to be prepared to die a couple times before you get the timing for his dodges, because it's all very strange. A lot of his attacks begin out of your field of view, especially whenever he has the visual impairment going on. I think it's very annoying. I don't like to be slowed and blinded. I don't think that's a great mechanic. But we'll see if my opinion changes. I'll keep you guys updated as I fight him more and more in dire and heroic hunts. But I mean, I am excited to see where it goes. I'm excited to see if the Skraev weapons will change at all in the next few patches. Because right now I can't think of a good reason to use a Skraev weapon. Maybe their mines will be buffed in some way. If you have any questions about what we covered here or any other sort of input, let me know down in the comments. Or join my Discord and leave a message in the comment box text channel. It's much easier to start a conversation through my server since I get notified immediately. One more option is to catch me streaming on Twitch every Sunday night and sporadically throughout the weekdays and just talk to me real time. I hope you learned something and thank you for watching.